Hey guys, here are my activities for my program, proposed activities for increasing calcium and vitamin E intake for bone health among adolescent females in Jackson County, Oregon. The majority of my program is going to be based on the health belief model. I think this is a good model to inform my program because it deals with attitudes and beliefs, and I'm talking to teenagers and they're all about attitude. But really, I think it's important to shape their attitudes and beliefs about food and health and nutrition now, because what we're dealing with is we're trying to prevent a future problem, which is osteoporosis and bone loss. So perceived risk and perceived benefits, the activities for those are the same. I want to develop a pamphlet and posters that would go up on the school walls, and also some sort of short education lesson that increases the awareness of osteoporosis and bone loss due to a diet inadequate in calcium and vitamin D, and then also communication on the benefits of taking in calcium and vitamin D and what that means for their future bone health. I think self-efficacy is a really important aspect of this program. Kids this age really need to have the confidence and the know-how if they're actually going to follow through with something like this. So I was thinking maybe a hands-on cooking class, but also I developed an infographic last term that's a magnet that goes on the fridge, so it just lists, the foods that have the highest amount of calcium and vitamin D. Not every food with that, but a lot of them. That's also going to be a cue to action, so it's right there on the fridge. It helps them, keep it in the forefront of their mind, remember the foods that contain calcium and vitamin D, but also it makes it easier for them to shop and cook and all the things that come along with self-efficacy. So cues to action, also the posters on the walls, and I would like to see some sort of food labeling in the school cafeterias. I don't know if that's going to be possible at this point in time, but just pointing out the foods that contain calcium and vitamin D and, basically how much of each. Social cognitive theory, I really like this because kids this age are still learning by observation and social modeling. So food labels in the cafeteria, seeing other kids choose the calcium and vitamin D foods. I would also like to see that the cafeterias are offering calcium and vitamin D foods other than dairy products, because there are a lot of people who don't tolerate dairy well. And there are a lot of foods with calcium and vitamin D that aren't dairy. Reciprocal determinism, I really like this one because it does let them know that they're not just a product of their environment, but they do have some control over their environment, and I think that's important at this age group. So I would love to see a suggestion box in the cafeteria where they can suggest some of their favorite calcium foods, D foods, to see if maybe the cafeteria can start offering some of those. For self-monitoring and goal setting, I think it's very important to set goals and keep track. It keeps it in the forefront of your mind. So with that bone health education class that I mentioned earlier, I want to have, like a small segment on how to set goals, what goals should be set, and then monitoring to make sure you're meeting those goals. The trans-theoretical model, I believe, is very important generally because not everybody's in the same place as far as how ready they are to make changes. And especially with teenagers, I think most of these kids are probably in the pre-contemplative stage. They're not thinking about bones and health and things like that. So I want to bring all of these things to their attention with the class and the posters. And I also would like to do some sort of a weekly or maybe monthly recipe that gets sent home through the school. And possibly like some money saving tips. I'm also thinking about doing a Snapchat page that I can direct people to, that's going to have all of the same information that they'll be getting. And subjective norms, I like this because I feel like kids this age are still very concerned about what people think of them, especially their peers, but also teachers and parents and coaches and doctors and things like that. So I think the Snapchat page is a good way to help them build their support system and communicate with other people who are following, this program, and get support that way. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say, and I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving.